Last topic of tonight is the Long Halloween.
Part 2.
Yes. Although, let's just talk about it as a whole, since you can't really just talk about part two and not part one, because it's just like, it's just one thing.
Yeah, I guess.
So,
All right.
as someone who I'm assuming has not read the comics, what were your
Now,
thoughts?
this was a very, very good detective story. This was a crime drama that honestly had me even questioning who the real killer was 90% of the time. By the time I got to part 2 and we get to the part where the evidence is found, I could kind of put two and two together there, especially after like a confirmation later on in the movie. I'm trying to be like very vague and not like spoilery, but I think you know the scenes I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, the killer Holiday in this story, neat trick copying Calendar Man's gimmick. Even more of a neat trick by using that gimmick to just kill off an entire mob family that you fucking hated. Here's my question. If you were in love with the son who was already getting kind of a raw shit deal from a father who didn't fucking love him, why'd you kill him too?
See,
That was my thing.
See, my assumption ultimately comes down to it's because he didn't fight hard enough for her, and she kind of resented that.
I still don't think that man needed to be shot and then dropped into a goddamn boat propeller and turned into fucking hamburger meat.
Oh, the correct term you're looking for is chum, because yeah, some sharks ate very well that night.
Yeah, okay. The man didn't deserve to be turned into chum just for that. Like my guy. Like kill Falcone. You ain't have to kill the rest of them. I mean, at the very least, spare the son. That poor. I felt bad for that fucking dude. I really did. His own father calls him weak and pathetic. Not long before he gets turned into goddamn chum.
uh,
Ugh.
okay, look, all pretenses aside, anyone listening to this, if you don't want spoilers, bail out. Thank you for watching. Go about your day. But yeah, you need to get the fuck up out of here.
And I'm sorry about all the spoilers I just dropped beforehand.
I mean, it was ambiguous enough, and if you've seen the first part, there you go. But look, what you need to understand is I had no sympathy for Alberto at that moment just because of the way the original story went, where Alberto, it was either that he took up the holiday killings around Christmas, or he decided he wanted to claim what's the word I'm looking for? Ownership, I guess, of all of the killings from the very start. So, Alberto wasn't as clean in one version, and it kind of shaped the way I felt about him in this movie. And when he died, I was just like, huh. So it's gone of two ways. Either he was a victim all along, or he was innocent. And I don't know how to feel about that.
Bruce and Selena's arc was kind of awkward, but then I do kind of like the idea that she had to save him from poison ivy at like the very beginning of the fucking movie because it's just like I didn't need a partner. It's just like, you sure, bro? Because the green plant lady in the room says otherwise.
Yeah. You got that right. I did love the fact that he was just like, I thought fighting all these criminals would just be a physical thing. I didn't think I'd have to be a detective too.
Like, I trained my body for fighting. I didn't train my mind for figuring stuff out. What the fuck?
See, it's funny too because the situation with Catwoman, not as cut and dry in the original version. It was very hard to tell which side of things she was on. I'll leave it as that. It's just like it was very much a can Selena be trusted? Question mark.
That was a little hard to convey in the I felt like they didn't convey that much specifically as well as they should have in the first half.
Yeah.
I never got the impression that Bruce like didn't trust her. I just felt like it felt more like he just came up with the reason to send her away because he has issues.
Yeah, that's essentially what they made it out to be. And the follow up to this storyline, which isn't going to happen because Sophia died, fucking fell on a whole ass car out of a tall building, which was very unfortunate because, man, she was kind of fine. Like,
Yeah, right?
damn. Like, I do have me a thing for big girls, but damn. But the whole storyline that follows this dark victory, it's Sophia trying to get revenge for what Two-Face did towards the end of all of this. Alberto is brought into the situation, and it serves as a new origin for Dick Grayson Robin, which is Bruce learning to trust and accept having a partner and all that stuff. So, you can see why that sequel probably isn't going to happen.
Likely, yeah. It doesn't look like it, but I guess we'll see.
Also, the stuff with Catwoman potentially being Carmine Falcone's daughter, that was not brought up in the original story. It was actually brought up around the same time they did this sequel, Dark Victory, which was 10 years later, in a storyline called I think it was like Win in Rome or something like that, and that's when you got the whole, Selena might be the daughter of Falcone, and isn't that kind of fucked up that her dad died? And I kind of like it a little bit better here because it's just like, if that's such an important plot point, it would probably be better if he wasn't dead for the entirety of her finding that out.
I feel like when it came to Selena discovering who her mother might have been through Falcone, I thought it came kind of like completely out of nowhere, totally out of left field. The fact that like all she ever got from him was her mother's name, just to like confirm like, oh shit, you do know my mother. You are my father. Cool. I'm gonna go leave and process that shit because that's a lot to take in.
Yeah. It was very sloppily done. It could have been a lot better.
Yeah, that end. I mean, like when it came together, it was like, okay, you stuck the landing, but you kind of stumbled just a smidge.
It feels like they should have set that up a little bit more in the first half, because it really
Yes,
did feel like they just kind of shoved it into the second half.
yeah, that would have been nice. It also would have like properly explained like why Selena didn't really want to like make out with Alberto because in the first half it's just like she it could be argued that like oh she seemed just like put off by him in general. Now it's just like oh no he might have actually been her brother, so of course that's why she didn't want to kiss him.
Yeah.
But he didn't know that.
It also brings up a question that it complicates some things a little bit too, because before Catwoman, Selena found out about her relation with Carmine Falcone and all that. Did you notice those scratches Falcone had on the side of his face?
Yes.
Yeah, those were from Selena.
Oh, so they met before and she went at it and I guess she found out later, oh shit, that might actually be my father.
Yeah, it's because it's weird that it's never brought up. Like, I don't know if it happened differently in this universe because Catwoman, I thought she was in costume when she originally did that to Falcone because the events of this is a reworking of Batman Year 2, so it would have followed up Batman Year 1, where I'm pretty sure you see her do the deed eventually. So it just raises a lot of questions, and it's just like, you think it would come up to some degree, and it doesn't. And that's a major part of Falcone's look and all that. So, I don't know. Nitpicks from a fanboy.
The Mad Hatter didn't really have any business being here.
No, it was just for John DiMaggio to chew the scenery.
And boy, did he. I didn't have a problem with it. Don't get me wrong. I love when John DiMaggio chews scenery because that man makes scenery just he makes it look so appetizing the way he chews it up.
I mean, honestly, it's just like you had the most pointless inclusions in this were the Mad Hatter and Penguin, which Penguin was just like, what the fuck is Penguin doing here? He wasn't even in this story.
Like, my thing was like, what? We didn't need you here. What the fuck are you doing here? Who the fuck? Who invited him? Who invited Cobblepot? Did he invite himself? I believe he invited himself. If you tell me he invited himself, I'll accept that.
No, it was apparently a flip of the coin. Apparently he was at Arkham or something, and Two-Face was making the decisions, and the only person to lose the get-out-of-jail-free card was Calendar Man, which probably was a benefit to him.
I mean, like, he just wanted so badly to get out. That was all. Like, I love that Calendar Man was like the series like red herring, like they're less than helpful Dr. Lecter, because even Dr. Lecter was helpful in Silence of the Lambs to an extent.
I mean, there were a lot of clues that he left throughout the course of this showing, some of which were when the question of who is Holiday was brought up, and he was shown an example of the gun. He was just like, oh, it seems that it could have been made for a woman or a man. You know, there were a lot of allusions that he made, and he even made it in the original story that he was aware that Holiday was either a woman that then it was changed over to a man, or it was a woman all along. He just knew things that, by all accounts, he shouldn't have known. Even in the original story, it's just like, you should not know any of this.
Calendar Man just knew everything, but no one was willing to really believe him because, well, it's Calendar Man.
Exactly.
Why the fuck trust you?
It's fucking Calendar Man. It's just like, Julian, your last name is Day, and I'm not willing to spend that with you. Good day, sir. But, how did you feel about this origin for Harvey Dent and all Two-Face and all that?
When the acid got thrown into his face in the courtroom, I actually thought that shit was pretty brutal. That was, I actually cringed a bit when I saw that shit. I'm just like, damn, you really did that man like that. Apart from that, it's just like we didn't really start seeing any allusion to the whole Two-Face thing until the second half.
Mm-hmm.
You know, first half, I wasn't getting the same vibe of like a bipolar man trying to do the right thing and battling with the duality of you know, the simple fact that he's got a darker side, and that darker side really wants to fuck somebody up, you know?
Yeah, see, that was kind of my problem too, because it wasn't at the forefront in the first half, and I'm just like, they're trying to allude that Harvey has this darker nature, and then, you know, it's never really brought up that way, but then you get to the second half, and it's just like at the forefront of most things. But even then, it's fairly subdued. Harvey doesn't really do that much. Yeah, he gets a little angry from time to time, but then people are believing that, oh, he snapped, he's gone on this killing spree, he's Holiday, and this, that, and the other, and I'm just like, guys, where are you getting this from? Nothing connects to this.
Or they did try to pin that one murder on him.
Yeah, very outright. And it was just like, even then, it just didn't feel like they had a leg to stand on for a lot of these accusations. Batman the Animated Series did a much better job of selling this direction with Harvey, because you could see the writing on the wall that Harvey was unhinged. He was slowly going down a darker path. It felt a little bit more natural, like there was a progression of Harvey getting worse. Here, it's just like, he had a few issues. Honestly, who doesn't have a few of those thoughts running around in their head from time to time? And considering the nature of his job, the outbursts were understandable. And then all of a sudden it's just like, and now I'm a murderer. Now I'm just killing people left and right. Now I'm commanding Solomon Grundy. Now I'm commanding an entire legion of bad guys. I'm like, the fuck?
Harvey just like he went from one side of the line to fuck it. Let me just do a complete 180.
It was a little bit much. Like even the Dark Knight kind of did that whole progression a little bit better, and I was
Yeah.
never quite sold on that one either. But at least that was it did it a little bit better than this.
I mean, for a live action movie setting, realistically, that was probably the best we were ever gonna get in terms of Two-Face.
Exactly.
Especially because Chris Nolan had like this massive hard on for making things as realistic as possible. Like I get it, but it takes away some of the more enjoyable parts of Batman, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's some of the more fanciful elements of Batman are what really kind of drive home the appeal, and the more realistic you make it, the more questions it raises, and the more questions it raises, the worse the answers actually sound.
Kind of the problem.
Well, I did want to ask you, what did you think about the revelation that Harvey's wife was the holiday killer?
I'd kind of come to that conclusion when okay, so you remember how he went to Harvey's basement and he found the guns with the rubber stoppers on them, like the little baby bottle shit that they were using for the silencers.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, okay, we know it's not Harvey. It's probably his wife. Just like it's if it's not Harvey, it's his wife. Because like at that point, I wasn't even sure if it wasn't Harvey. So I'm just like, okay, it's one of the two of them. And then when Gordon was just like, oh yeah, no, Harvey never went to fucking, was it Oxford?
Yeah, Oxford.
Oxford. Harvey never went to Oxford. It's just like, yeah, it was the wife.
See,
So when they finally got to that point where it's just like your holiday, it's just like, yup, finally got there, guys.
okay, so on that note, were you satisfied that Batman figured it out in the end, but ultimately decided to not reveal it to anybody?
I had kind of a mixed feeling about that, but I feel like even Bruce himself had kind of a mixed feeling about that shit, to be perfectly honest.
Now,
Because on the one hand, that woman went on a mass murdering spree. On the other hand, it is completely understandable as to why she went on this murdering spree, because she realistically only went after a mob family, which is another positive point. So it's just like, man, I really want to take you to jail because you were a criminal, but man, you just did something the law couldn't do for a long ass fucking time. So I'm just like, I'm in an awkward position. I need to know you are not going to do this shit anymore, and I will let you walk away. It's just like, yeah, no, I'm not. No, this was the thing that bothered me. It's just like, I just need to know you're done. Not done. Finished. It's like, are those not the same thing? It's like, I feel like you just said, no, I'm not done, but I'm done.
Yeah, I get what you're saying because I had that same problem. But see, it's with that I have to question how you feel about the direction that the comic went in. And in that, Gilda, that's the wife's name, she never had that relationship with Alberto.
Okay.
Batman never figures out who Holiday is. He assumes it's Two-Face through and through.
Damn, really?
Yes. And the revelation at the end only comes because we cut over to a scene. Gilda's completely alone. She's packing everything up to move away from Gotham. She heads down to the furnace and just starts dumping everything into the fire, along with the hat and coat that she wore as Holiday. And the whole reasoning behind why she did this was to lighten Harvey's load so that they could finally settle down and have a child.
Well, that went fucking well.
And her last comment is, at the end of the comic, is that she knows that Harvey will be alright one day. They'll eventually reconcile, and that is because she believes in Harvey Dent.
Oh, well, that's nice. Yeah, I'm gonna say I like the movie motive better.
Yeah, it's a very kind of ending when it comes to the comic. And for all the setup that it did, all the interesting twists, turns, and angles, it leaves a lot of things ambiguous. And I mean a lot of things. There's a reason why a lot of people are there's a lot of debate as to whether Gilda was the killer the entire time through. It went from Gilda to Alberto as he continued on the killings, or if it's simply that Alberto just wanted the credit for all of the crimes.
Well, yeah, I guess you shouldn't expect the movies and the books to be exactly the same. Well, like I said, I do really enjoy the way everything was executed within the movie. It might have made the twist a little better, although I figured it out, and I'm pretty sure anybody realistically paying attention could figure it out. But I suppose,
I feel that ultimately I do prefer the movie as well, because at least going that direction, there's a sense of closure on the situation. It's not perfect, it's not the greatest thing around, but it is a sense of closure. In terms of the comics, anything could have happened, which is why you got the sequel. At least in terms of the movie, it's just like this is its own microcosm. It exists, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and then it's done. If nothing else, it's a complete story and a good packaged movie. Well, series of movies. Alright, and with that, I want to thank everyone for joining us for this round of Talking 2D. I hope you enjoyed it. Let us know how your feelings on any of the topics we brought up, from One Piece to the Owl House to Batman the Long Halloween. What is your favorite thing about any of those? Please let us know in any of the comments below. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and this has been my co-host.
with the Iron Giblets.